Let us start our discussion today. We have gone through the different lubrication system of diesel power plant and what type of lubricants we generally use in the diesel power plant itself. For what type of lubricants we use different for different type of lubrication system itself. Now let us go through the next portion of our chapter, that is supercharging of system of diesel power plant itself. First, you have to understand what is the meaning of this term supercharging system. So what is the purpose of it, that we have to understand properly. The purpose of supercharging is to raise the volumetric efficiency above the value which can be obtained by normal expansion itself, normal aspiration itself. So what is volumetric efficiency? What is exactly the volumetric efficiency itself? So what we are supposed to do is, just 1 second. What is exactly the volumetric system itself? If you have 100% efficient, your system is 100% efficient by volume, the amount you are compressing or delivering is equal to the amount of volume of fuel or air or any other fluid which you are intaking. If you can respect the 10%, it will be highest, it will be 100% volumetric efficient. But in practice, it is never possible. There is certain leakage and there must be certain gap. You are voluntarily exist between the piston and the cylinder itself. And in order to improve the volumetric efficiency, means we have to deliver as much fuel as much fluid as possible, or as much fuel as possible. You have to increase the volumetric efficiency so that it tends to go near 100%. But it is never possible to go to the 100%. So our motto will be, our objective will be, more or less it should be equal to the supercharging, equal to the 90% at least. Generally, it happens after excellent, when you imagine an excellent gap between fuel and injection itself, it is around 84-85%. That is the best thing we can achieve. No. So here the supercharging system is done. What we are doing with this system is to raise the volumetric efficiency above that value which can be obtained by normal aspiration itself. First, we have to know how much we can do without any additional help, how much volumetric efficiency we can achieve without any additional help itself. Now, indicated horsepower that produces by the IC engine is directly proportional to the air consumed by the engine. Indicated means the horsepower which is sized horsepower or power which we are supposed to generate from an engine itself is directly proportional to the air consumed by the engine. You know, the indicated horsepower doesn't mean this amount of horsepower we are supposed to get at our outlet or at our receiving end itself, because there are so many things, so many factors are guiding, or will has a tendency to reduce this indicated horsepower. But as per our system, what can be the horsepower, what can be the maximum horsepower can be generated by this system is generally defined as the indicative horsepower itself. Now, this indicative horsepower is directly proportional to the air consumed by the engine. So how much air you can absorb or you can draw in, it depends on over how it's the most important factor for getting higher indicative horsepower. Indicative horsepower should be high enough to get higher brake horsepower, higher output from your engine itself. So, but by this means of that, we have to first increase the indicative horsepower itself. Now, if the greater quantity of fuel is to be added by increasing the air consumption per minute and result in greater power output, produced by the engine. First of all, so there are 2 points. Directly, IHP is directly proportional to the air consumed and directly proportional to the amount of engine is to be amount of fuel, say diesel, is supposed to be added by increasing the air consumption ratio. So if the higher the air you can consume, higher we can inject fuel, and as a result, higher greater power or greater amount of power we can produce by the engine itself. Means there should be a higher indicative power as well. So it is therefore desirable that engine is supposed to take engine is supposed to take the greatest possible mass of air. So first of all, we have to increase the intake or absorption of the mass of mass of the air itself. And what is the greatest mass which we have to understand, and we should go to that possible, if not theoretically possible, but practically possible. That will be our objective itself. The amount of air pumped in the cylinder at a pressure greater than the atmospheric pressure and is called supervising. So if you allow the air without to come in the cylinder without any additional pressure, it will go the maximum amount it is possible. It can absorb by itself, and you are not helping it to improve the air intake by any means. And you see there the cylinder is moving in reciprocity cylinders is moving at a very high rate, and so the normal intake is supposed to be not that good because of the lack of time itself. So apply of air, we have to apply the air by pumping into the cylinder at a pressure it would be greater than the atmospheric pressure, and this operation or this type of phenomenon is defined as supercharging itself. So we are pumping the air to come in, and this pressure of the pump should be at least higher than the atmospheric pressure. Otherwise, it is useless to use this type of system itself, because it will not give us, in that case, it will not give us any additional help. Now, the purpose of the air is pumped into cylinder. When the greater quantity of air is supplied to an IC engine, it should be able to develop more power for the same size, and conversely, a smaller size engine fed with extra air to produce the same power at a greater engine supplied with the modern air feed itself, as a larger engine from modern supplied with a normal air feed system. So the greater quantity for if we supply an IC engine, it will be reduced. It will manage to develop higher power for the same price and for the engine if without any supercharging system itself. And conversely, a small charge engine feeding with extra power additional pressure to produce the same power than a larger engine, and with the supplied with the same normal air feed. So by increasing a big engine, by supplying a bigger engine with compressed air will produce more power. A supply with more power than the engine which is getting its air intake by the getting this air intake by the atmospheric pressure only. Then similarly, a shorter engine of lower indicated horsepower with the atmospheric intake of the air is supplied with a higher pressure air by supercharging. It may produce power equal to a higher engine, equal to a bigger engine with which produces power in case for the supply of a normal or atmospheric supply of air itself. So everywhere, if we can supply higher pressure air with higher pressure, it will improve the power, and which means we can use lesser capacity engine, which or cheaper engine by using the supercharging system to get a same indicative power itself. Now, so supercharging is essentially used to increase the rated power out capacity of the engine or make the rating equal to high altitude corresponding to the high altitude corresponding to unsupercharged sea level rating. So there is another thing. What is the atmospheric pressure? Atmosphere it is same everywhere throughout the air. No, it is the highest in sea level, and it is comparatively less in the large mountain. So if we use the supercharging method, the power output at higher altitude will be comparatively same, more or less same to the unsupercharged engine working at sea level itself, because it is increasing the intake pressure of the inlet air itself. Now, supercharging is to increase the rated power capacity of the given engine or to installing a supercharger between the engine intakes. Engine intakes does supercharging and air through the air cleaner supercharger merely in compressor. So what is the supercharger? So what is the supercharger? No, say if we install a supercharger between engine intake, does supercharging and air inlet through air cleaner, that supercharging and air inlet through air cleaner supercharger is merely a compressor that provides a denser charge to the engine, thereby enabling the consumption of greater mass of charge with the greater mass of charge. It's a compressor only. What you need is a compressor. Will supply the electricity under the compressor's pressure, and therefore you see we are enabling a greater mass of the charge in the same total piston displacement itself. The power required to drive the supercharger is taken from the engine. So the power required. How to run the compressor? You will supposed to drive the compressor to supervisor or to drive the compressor of supervisor as supercharger is supposed to be taken from the engine itself, and therefore removes from all engine output some of the gain in power obtained by through supercharging, thereby removes from overall engine output some of the gain in power through the supercharging. So what is means, if we take the power from the engine itself, which is being supercharged, it will take some of the power it produced, and we should be helpful. It will be profitable only when the effect of supercharging is considerably higher than without supercharging, so that its running power can be absorbed and it will not affect your overall power output of the machine itself. Just 1 second. Share down. Just 1 second. Achha. Let us continue again. Since the main object of supercharging is to increase the power output with this engine without increasing the rotational speed of the dimension of the cylinder. So what is this? We don't want to run the cylinder with a higher speed, which can increase our output, but it will require higher amount of fuel as well as higher amount of size of the engine itself. So we don't want to increase the speed, or we don't want to increase the dimension of the cylinder. This is achieved by increasing the charge of air, which results more burning of the fuel and higher mean effective pressure. So what is this? We are increasing the charge of the fuel to air, and which results in more burning of the fuel and a higher mean effective pressure. So what is we are doing? We are burning more fuel, thus getting more power and getting higher mean effective pressure. Means we are the pressure which we are generating as the mean, it is not same. everywhere, but we are exceeding the mean effective pressure, and it should be higher with the additional of compression, and thus compressing the inside the air charge by increasing the air charge by applying a compression in the inlet of the pressure cylinder itself. So there are three possible methods of increasing the supercharging, increasing the air consumption of an engine. To increase the piston displacement, but this increases the size and weight of the engine itself. So how we can increase the air consumption? First of all, engine size we can increase. So, but engine size and weight of the engine means additional cooling problem and additional cost. The piston displacement means this you have to increase the length and to a certain extent diameter also, as well as which of the engine, which results in weight of the engine itself and the pistons and cylinder itself. And at the same time, you have to cool it in a better cooling system or additional cooling inputs to reduce the temperature of the engine itself. And now running the speed at engine at higher speed, first of all, piston displacement, running the speed at higher speed, which results in increased fuel and mechanical friction loss. That is the most important part, is the friction loss itself. A friction loss imposing greater inertia stresses on engine part itself. If we run the speed increase with higher speed, but friction definitely increase between the abrasion or possible abrasion between the relative movement between the parts having relative movements, and this will wear out the engine quickly, and greater inertia stresses on the engine parts. It will create an additional draw in opposite direction, or greater inertia stress on the engine part itself, increasing increasing the density of the charge. Well, thus the charge has greater mass charge is introduced in the same volume or same piston displacement, but you have to increase the injection. More fuel is to be injected here. More fuel is to be injected here to be injected here. So, what is the possible method other than supercharging? First, you have to increase the piston displacement. Means you have to increase the size and weight of the engine. You have to increase. You may increase the. You can run the engine at higher speed, but which results in more friction between the engine moving with relative speed, and increase the density of the charge itself, which is a greater mass of charge is introduced in the same volume or same total resistance itself. So what we have here, the possible distance of superchargers. What is the different type of supercharger itself? The supercharging is done by means of compressor. There are two types of compressor that may be used as superchargers. They are as follows: the possible displacement type superchargers, and centrifugal type supercharger, and turbo type supercharger. There are two types mainly, mostly, that is piston cylinder type, Roots blowers, and vane cylinder. This is the positive displacement type. Means supercharger has having a displacement in an additional displacement here, which is piston cylinder type and Roots blower vane type, and centrifugal type or supercharger or turbo type, which means supercharger is having a rotary motion itself, and it is by means of centrifugal force it is compressing the incoming air. Where positive displacement are more or less piston cylinder or reciprocating piston type, so which by means of additional movement of the piston, we are increasing additional compressing air of the inlet compressing force at the inlet air itself. The turbo type superchargers, which is injecting certain amount of fuel to improve the in the supercharger itself to improve the density of the charge itself. So that is the few sketches are given here. That is the root blowers, vane blower, centrifugal type blower. Centrifugal turbo type is not given. Vane and root blowers are, this is the root blowers and this is the vane blower itself. Piston cylinder type don't require additional sketch because we know what will be the piston and cylinder position during this movement itself. Now, the blowers are generally driven for the, all these blowers are supposed to be driven by some other means. It's usually driven for the crankshaft engine crankshaft by means of a gear system, whereas a spar, helical, or herringbone gear, which means silent chain or V-belt type at a speed 2 to 3 times the engine speed. So first of all, we have to use the speed of the engine cranks. The blowers are generally driven from the engine crank itself by means of a gear train, so that there should not be supposed to be no power loss between the supercharger and the output of the engine itself. But there is one problem. This type of spar helical gear means we require additional gearbox, which is costly and requires additional maintenance and additional lubrication. Additional cooling also is required. And the silent chains and sprocket system, which is supposed to be silent of the proper meshing of the chains as well as the socket itself, because if we get an additional sound from the supercharger, it will be not effective for us. And V-belts, which cannot transmit 100% power, like like the gear train, but V-belts can, although there's a loss of 10 to 15% power, it can run at a speed 2-3 times of the engine speed itself, and which is cheap and easily, and belts can be easily replaced if required. If required, is cheap and comparatively easier to maintain, and doesn't require any cooling system, as doesn't require an additional lubricating system itself. So in the case of supercharger, the supercharger is coupled to a gas turbine. In case of turbo supercharger, you say, it is supposed to be coupled to a gas turbine, which excess process of engine is expanded itself. So turbo supercharger means you have to use additional amount of fuel, and the gas is thus generated from the engine itself. Engine itself is expanded, and if it is fed in our main engine cylinder, it will have of higher pressure and higher temperature than the normal air fitted from the air pressure itself. And the positive displacement types are the used for low and medium engines with speeds not over 4,000 revolutions per minute. So if the engine does not require to run 6,000, 8,000 RPM, it's around 3,500 to 4,000 RPM. So we can use there positive displacement mean piston cylinder type compressor, where the speed is a limitation, but there is no losses. There is no losses of pressure, and there is no almost negligible amount of loss, give you much higher volumetric efficiency from any other rotor type compressor itself. Now, the positive displacement type with many reciprocating cylinders in stationary plants, vehicles, and many installations. So this can use reciprocating engines and stationary plants of the vehicles and many installations. So if the speed is not that high, we can use the pump and cylinder system or reciprocating compression system, and where this extremely very high RPM is not necessary. So we can safely use in stationary plants, like not even stationary but vehicles, many installation itself. Now, the piston cylinder type is used on large and slow speed engines. It is positive displacement, but you can use it at large engine, but slow speed. But there is limited because they are bulkier, they are heavier, means bigger, more expensive, and less dependable than rotary tap blowers itself. So they are bulkier, you call right, means bigger. They are more expensive to purchase and less dependable because there must be, even making a costly investment, we cannot get 100% volumetric efficiency from it, along with the volumetric efficiency of the, the parent cylinder itself. It's also reduces the volumetric efficiency of the total system, and thus reducing the intake of air, and which also reducing mean effective pressure and inductive horsepower itself. The centrifugal blowers are generally used both on low speed and high speed engine. Centrifugal blowers. The centrifugal blowers driven by exhaust gas turbine. So it is supposed to be driven, and it can do, in an additional exhaust gas turbine is used, which is runs inside of fuel and creating, runs the centrifugal blower. But these are exhaust turbines are small and light and can be used for stationary locomotive and marine and aircraft engine. So it has a lot of varieties of application. If your power plant is stationary, it can be usable for a locomotive engine, like a diesel engine running the trains. It is usable. Marine engines, means engine used in the ships, and aircraft engines used in aircraft. This everywhere with a small capacity exhaust gas turbine you have to use additionally, which is not heavier, which is not very costly. So it is used for running the centrifugal blower. It's centrifugal blower, and thus the speed of the centrifugal pipe blowers is generally 10,000, 50,000 RPM for low speed engines, and 15,000, 30,000 RPM for high speed engines such as aircraft engine. So you see the piston or positive displacement type supercharger is unsuitable totally for aircraft, where engines are supposed to run at very high speed. And so this is the essential application of centrifugal blower. Then where the speed of the engine can be varied from 10,000 to 30,000 RPM. So it is suitable for all sort of application from low speed to high speed engines. So centrifugal types are widely used as a supercharger for reciprocating engine as well as compressor for gas turbine itself. It is most exclusively used as a supercharger with reciprocating power plants for aircraft because it is relatively high, light, and compact, and produces continuous flow rather than pulsating flow as in some positive displacement type itself. So what is the, we are going through the so much different type of varieties of supercharger system. We find the centrifugal pipe is most widely used for all sort of reciprocating engines such as compressor, such as compressor for gas turbine, all other diesel engine for producing power itself, and it is relatively light. It can be used for main important application is it can be used reciprocating power plants because it is relatively very high and compact and produces continuous flow other than pulsating flow in some positive displacement type. So here you'll get, first of all, it is applicable everywhere because of a high speed application. It is applicable because it is light, compact, and cost less, comparatively cheaper, and it gives you continuous flow other than positive displacement type reciprocating type blower, where you may have some fluctuation or pulsating flow in the during its supply of air itself. Pulsating means the pressure is moving, it is changing to a certain extent because of the movement of to and fro movement of the piston itself. But as the centrifugal piston is moving continuously, there is no question of any to and fro movement itself. Next, let us see what is the advantage of supercharging. So let us make a compact, our discussion more compact and to the point. Let us go through what is the advantage of supercharging itself. There is a number of advantages. in modern diesel plants, and generally these diesel plants are generally supercharged itself. The various advantages of supercharging are the power increase. So mean effective MEP of the engine can be increased and easily increased by 30 to 50% by supercharging. So the pressure of the charge getting out of the engine, which is being used to convert back the machine to make the power itself, can be increased by 30 to 50%. So mean effective pressure, not the average, or you can say the average pressure, which is generated at the outlet of the engine, output of the engine, which is increased at 30, almost 50% by supercharging, which will result in increasing considerable amount of rise in power output itself. The fuel economy, due to better combustion because of increased turbulence, better mixing of fuel and air, and an increase in mechanical efficiency, specific fuel consumption in most cases are reduces, generally does not reduce at all, not all. Means what we do, although we can increasing the supply of air in a much higher pressure, but with the higher supply of air, the turbulence increases to a good extent that creates pressure over the fuel injector itself. The better mixing, but turbulence increases better mixing of fuel and air, and thus often increasing to better burning of the fuel in the air itself, and also increasing fuel efficiency. The specific fuel consumptions generally reduces, is not reduces. So fuel consumption is not our main benefits we are getting. It is generally does not reduce much, but due to higher pressure of incoming air, the better mixing and better pumping efficiency is reduced, and so with mechanical efficiency or the output power or breakaway power is comparatively increased by this supercharging itself. It is also making the fuel economy to a certain in the sense that more, it is not asking for more fuel, but it is asking for higher, because it is used higher compressed air of higher power output itself. Next comes the mechanical efficiency. The mechanical efficiency referred to the maximum load is increased since the increase of frictional losses with a supercharger driven directly from the engine is quite smaller than compared to the power gained by supercharging itself. So mechanical efficiency or brake horsepower, or the maximum energy which you are getting out from the engine itself is increasing to maximum load since the friction loss with supercharging driven directly from the engine is quite smaller, because we are not increasing the speed of the engine. So frictional loss is not increasing. So we don't have to introduce better cooling system for the friction loss. But all these things will help us to gain the power improved, and so that their losses are reduced, but with the increase in intake power, but the same amount of fuel intake, there will be better mixing and better burning and better amount of heat is used, which is converted to the usual work itself, and this power it's so we are getting greater power by supercharging itself. So fuel tank, it is decreased due to the increased compression pressure, because increasing the inlet pressure decreases the ignition lag, and this decreases the ignition lag. Due to fuel now, it is decreased due to increased compression, because the increase in inlet pressure, it reduces the injection lag, and thus reduces the rate of pressure rise in the cylinder, resulting in increasing smoothness of operation itself. So there is the injection lag. So it's almost eliminated, because always we are supplying power to a power with a much higher pressure, the atmospheric pressure. With the atmospheric pressure reduces to a certain extent due to some atmospheric reason, but your injection is going on, so there will be injection lag. So you have already injected, but you don't have injected fuel, but you don't have the necessary amount of air yourself. This reduces the rate of pressure rise of the cylinder, resulting in increasing. Thus, the cylinder will run more smoothly, and the friction loss is not increasing to any considerable extent itself. The volumetric efficiency is increased since the clearance gases are compressed by the induced charge that is at higher pressure than exhaust pressure. So volumetric efficiency when input by output thereby input of air is definitely increased because the clearance gases are compressed by the induced charges. So more amount of gas is with air is being, more volume of air is being introduced, and that is at higher pressure than resistance pressure. So volumetric efficiency is definitely increased to a good extent. Now, let's go discuss a few points about the exhaust system or diesel power system. Now, input systems are thus important, of course, by the addition of supercharging itself, but the exhaust system also have an considerable effect or for smooth running of diesel power plant itself. The purpose of the exhaust system is to discharge the engine exhaust to the atmosphere out. So, what is the main purpose of the exhaust? You have to exhaust, you have to discharge your charge, which is already hot and it is contaminated with your fuel. You have to exhaust it to the atmosphere outside, not in your workshop itself. Otherwise, it will create a very extremely toxic atmosphere for the people working there, as well as extreme heat for them to tolerate by their own body. So you have to exhaust all these generated gases on the outside, to the outside of your plant itself, and totally in open space, so that it is naturally cooled and mixed with the air into the surrounding air itself. For designing exhaust system of a diesel gas, we have to take into the following point you have to consider. The exhaust noise should be reduced to a tolerable degree. There should not be extremely high noise output, because what will the problem is, if the noise is very high, so it will create problem to the surrounding people. May not be the people in workshop, but the surrounding people which is staying in the nearby locality itself. So exhaust noise should be reduced to a tolerable degree itself. Next, there comes, you are throwing out all these smokes and gases outside the atmosphere, right? Thus, we are creating air pollution. So you have to reduce the air pollution at the breathing level, and exhaust should be exhausted well above the ground level itself. So it should be exhaust should not be around the ground level, but it's well above the level, so that it should not reach the people staying at the ground itself. And air pollution, so thus air pollution is reduced to a considerable extent by throwing the exhaust to a much higher altitude than the ground level itself. The pressure loss in the system should be reduced to minimum. By use of flexible exhaust gas, pressure loss is to be reduced to the minimum, so that here we are increasing the pressure of the increased air, but it is lost due to leakage in somewhere else. Our total purpose will go to wastage. So we have to make all our joints total leak-proof, all our pipes totally intact, and replace the seals used in the joints in regular interval itself, so that there should not be any pressure loss in the system itself. Now, if you have flexible exhaust pipe, we use the flexible exhaust pipe. The various of exhaust system must be isolated from the plant itself. If the vibrations are there, the flexible pipe will absorb by themselves. In case of standard, in case of the solid pipe, because it cannot expand and contract itself. So a provision should be made to extract the heat from the exhaust if heating is required for fuel oil heating, on building heating, or process heating. So the exhaust we can use if we think we can use them for oil heating or from building heating for in case of cold system, cold surrounding at temperature, and the process heating. We can some other process we can use this hot end exhaust, which for used for the heated itself. You know, many cases we have seen that temperature of the exhaust gas under full load condition must be ordered 400 degrees centigrade. Exhaust gas should be around 400 degrees centigrade. When with the recovery of heat from lot jacketed water and exhaust gases, and its use either for heating oil or building in cold weather, increases the thermal efficiency to 80%. You see, after so many things, we can make not 90, but 80 to 85% maximum. Nearly 40% of the heat in the fuel can be recovered from the hot jacket water and exhaust gases. So around what we are thinking, the recovery of the heat from the fuel exhaust as well as hot jackets required used for cooling the engine itself. And this heat we can use for some other process of heating so that efficiency of the engine is increased to a certain extent. Really, we see almost 50%, half of the heat can be recovered, others are wasted by radiation. And this heat can also use for generating the steam. You can use this heat by generating the steam at low pressure that can be used for process heating. That steam can be used for drying or some other purpose during the process, not for generating power, but for heating or making certain inputs of certain type of process itself. So nearly 2 kgs of steam at 8 kg centimeter can be generated per kilowatt per hour. When 2 kg steam and 8 kg pressure can be generated per kilowatt per hour itself, when the mass of exhaust gases can be taken as 10 kg per kilowatt hour. When the mass is around 10 kg or more per kilowatt hour, then we can use 2 kg of steam, we can produce around 2 kg of steam of pressure around 8 kg per centimeter square, which is much higher from the atmosphere. So it can be generated according with this thing. Okay, let us stop it here. And we'll go for something else.